All right, we're going to install the American suspension neck. It's very, very easy. It's patent pending. And the first step is you just slide it on like that. The next step is to install the two tie-down bolts. And one of them goes right in here, and where your fairing mount would normally go. You can see then I just stick the washer and the lock nut on the other side, and then down below I put the washer and the lock nut. I do not tighten them up at this time, I just put them in place. The next step is to install the head mounting bolts, and I usually start with the top one first. These are left-handed thread, and before you install them, it's always a good idea to grease them up nicely with anti-seize. So I just drop it in like that, and again, it's a left-handed thread, so you got to remember to turn it opposite what you normally would. Kind of put that in until you can kind of feel it start to bottom. The top one has a through 3/8 hole. The bottom one has a 3/8 thread in it. And we use a different Allen wrench for this one. Same procedure. The only trick here is I got to remember to turn it the other way. You want to bring the camera around and show that I am screwing this in what is normally you would consider backwards. Alright, and I screw this all the way in until I can feel it get snug, and make sure that it's past where the circlip goes. Alright, now the next step is I torque this lower and torque the upper, and I torque each of them to at least 50 foot-pounds of torque. Now, to be sure that these never come apart, we have circlips that you put into place, and if for some reason these were to become loose, that circlip would prevent the cap from ever actually leaving. Another circlip that goes in place here on the bottom, and that's also very easy to put in. It just snaps into place, and then even if, no matter what happens, if vibration occurs, these start to loosen up, you don't have an issue with them actually coming out. Now is the time that we torque in place these the securing bolts here. So we just torque those, and those are torqued to 30 foot-pounds of torque. The next step is to install our lower triple clamp, and you should press your bearing in place, and it very easily slips right up there. And then you take your top bearing. You've already greased these bearings before installation. Drop it in place. You put your top tree on. Put your top tree washer and the top tree nut. Alright? You adjust the tightness of this nut so that these are still able to rotate freely. And there's no clicking or motion in the trees. You just adjust it with that. To make sure that we don't lose preload in here, there is a second nut. Torque the two nuts against each other so that everything stays running clean and true, and you have smooth steering operation. There's special caps that come with this kit, and they've been made to make for extra clearance. They just take the O-ring off of your old stock cap, put it on the new cap, screw it into place. It just slides through your fork very easily, and then you would just torque it into place like you would any other motorcycle fork. And the purpose here with that slot, if you get in there, is you position that, it gives you a little bit extra clearance so that you have full clearance on rotating the fork. Then when you're all done, you would tighten the pinch bolt here. Make sure you have a nice tight clamp on there. Recheck everything. This may need to be loosened and then readjusted after you clamp it. And make sure it turns freely. And then of course, don't forget, you got to tighten all of your triple tree pinch bolts. Of course, you'll have a complete set of fork legs in there. When you do that, both fork will all be together. At the very end, check and make sure that your caps are positioned correctly. And then show it down in here. They're positioned correctly to give you full travel.